The Washington Commanders will travel to the Motor City to take on Dan Campbell's Detroit Lions on the divisional round of the 2024 NFL playoffs. Welcome into the Commanders Report. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Today we have our preview for this divisional round matchup between two high-flying offenses. And on Saturday night, we're actually going to be live here on the Commanders Report, where we're going to have our extensive watch party for this divisional round showdown. It's going to be all starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, extensive pregame coverage and tailgate, followed by instant reaction and live play-by-play, and then finished up with an extensive post-game show wrapping up everything that happened in the game. We have the largest Commanders watch parties anywhere on the YouTube platform, so if you want to join us for that and all of our watch parties for every single season, as well as our off-season coverage coming up here in a couple of weeks, make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now for the most extensive coverage on the Washington Commanders anywhere on YouTube. Okay, now let's get into this divisional round matchup here, guys, because this is going to be a fun one between some big-time opponents here, between the Washington Commanders, and they're going to be going into Detroit, a team that is the number one seed in the NFC, 15-2 Detroit Lions, a team that has just been red hot all season long, and they've overcome injuries. They've overcome so much. Honestly, Dan Campbell, I think, deserves to be in the Coach of the Year conversation. But guess what? This Washington Commanders team is still dancing, led by another Coach of the Year candidate in Dan Quinn and Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels. And when it comes to the injuries this week, guys, the Commanders are relatively healthy. Now, Daron Payne, the defensive tackle, is dealing with a dislocated thumb. So whether or not he plays on Saturday night is still questionable at this point. And when it comes to Marshawn Lattimore, he was back for the wild card game versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but he needs to get healthier. All right, last week it was very clear that hamstring was still bothering him. Mike Evans was absolutely cooking him all day long on the film. He needs to get healthier this week because he's probably going to be going up against Jameson Williams on the outside, and that brother can fly. All right, so now let's talk about the injuries for the Detroit Lions. Now, the two players that are questionable to play for Detroit, Terrion Arnold had a little bit of a foot issue back in Week 18 versus the Vikings. He's had 2 weeks to kind of get better, so we'll see if he's on the field. There's been a lot of injuries to the secondary in Detroit. We'll see that when we look at the IR here in just a second, but also starting right guard Kevin Zeitler is dealing with a hamstring injury, and if he's not in there, that's going to be significant for the Detroit Lions. I really do think Detroit wants both of these guys on the field on Saturday night. But when it comes to the IR, man, multiple starters, multiple contributors for this Detroit team, especially on defense. It's just everywhere. And by the way, every single player on this graphic is a defensive player. That is how banged up their defense is. Number one, Aiden Hutchinson's been gone for much of the year. He was having a Defensive Player of the Year caliber season. He will not be in this game. He's still dealing with that leg injury. Carlton Davis, their number one corner, will be out. He's dealing with a jaw issue. Emmanuel Mosley has been dealing with an illness, and he is on the NFL, the non-football related illness reserve list, so he will not be on the field in this game. Aleem McNeil, their nose tackle, who's a really good run stuffer, will not be playing in this game either. He tore his ACL. Malcolm Rodriguez, if you remember Rodrigo from the Hard Knocks season here, he will not be on the field. Rennis Rakestraw, their rookie corner out of Mizzou, also dealing with a hamstring injury. And then Marcus Davenport and John Kaminsky, some rotational edge rushers, are also out for the season. So you guys take a look at what the Detroit Lions did this year in the regular season. Not many losses on here, guys. I'm just going to tell you that right now. They did lose to the Buccaneers, the team that the Commanders just beat last week, back in Week 2, but then they went on a huge winning streak where they didn't lose again until Week 15 versus the Buffalo Bills, and then they ended up finishing the season with a 3-game winning streak where they scored over 30 points in all 3 of those final 3 games and finished with a record of 15-2, securing themselves the NFC North Championship and the first overall seed in the NFC playoff picture. Did not play last week for obvious reasons. They had a bye. Now, when it comes to the division here, and when it comes to the schemes that the Detroit Lions like to run, Dan Campbell is their head coach. He's got a very good coaching record there in Detroit, especially these last 2 years. Ben Johnson is their excellent play caller. He's one of the best play callers in all of football, in my opinion. Definitely deserves a head coaching job, and he's one of the top names currently available on the NFL coaching carousel for a reason. There's going to be lots of misdirection. There's going to be lots in the screen game, run game, lots of creativity here, guys, and you got to be ready for everything. You got to stay on your toes when you're going up against the Ben Johnson offense. Then speaking of coordinators that might get head coaching jobs, Aaron Glenn, their defensive coordinator, runs a very bump and run, man coverage heavy offense, lots of blitzing with this attacking 4-3 style of defense. They're going to be in your face. They're going to be trying to get to Jaden Daniels with those blitzes all day long, so Jaden's going to have to handle the heat. Let's start with the Detroit Lions offense here and what they like to do and the key players you should be keeping your eye on here. Jared Goff is their quarterback. We'll have our scouting report on him later in today's show, but Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, Sonic and Knuckles, those guys are absolutely fantastic, arguably the best running back duo in football. Amon-Ra St. Brown is phenomenal as a slot technician. Then Jamison Williams is their speed guy over the top with Sam Laporta as a very good tight end. Then you look at the offensive line. This is really their bread and butter here in Detroit and has been for multiple seasons. This is one of the best, if not the best, offensive line in the National Football League, especially that right side of the offensive line. Frank Ragnow, Kevin Zeitler, and Penei Sewell are all ranking in the top 4 at their respective positions. They're all extremely high rated, and this is why if Kevin Zeitler isn't on the field and they have to go to a backup guard, that's going to be significant because you take away kind of that stopgap in that really elite Detroit Lions right side of the offensive line. So you take a look here at the Lions versus Commanders trends, Lions offense versus the Commanders defense. And obviously this Lions offense is phenomenal. They're top 5 in every single category except turnovers, and even in that category, they do a good job protecting the football at 6. The Commanders defense, it's been pretty mid to pretty below average this year, if we're being completely honest with you. But I will say this Commanders defense has done a really good job stopping the run as of late. But the points per game trends here between these two teams, 33.2 points. That's tops in the National Football League for the Detroit Lions versus 23 points allowed per game by the Commanders defense. So the trends would predict when they're cross-referenced, 28 points for the Detroit Lions in this playoff matchup. Then on the other side of the ball, defense for the Detroit Lions. Kirby Joseph might be the most underrated defensive player in all of football. I think he deserves to be an first-team All-Pro safety. He's been that good. And then Brian Branch, their slot corner, and then also their strong safety, has been phenomenal all season. He's a hell of a football player. Also got to keep your eye on Zadarius Smith, who they traded for earlier this season. DJ Reader has been a really good run stuffer throughout his career. And then they've got some good linebackers as well. Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone is a great fit in this very aggressive scheme that Aaron Glenn likes to run. Then Levi Onwuzurike and Amik Robertson are other players that are going to play significant roles for them on Saturday night. Take a look at the trends on this side of the ball, and obviously the Commanders' offense is excellent. Top 10 in every single major category offensively as a team this year. Top 5 in scoring offense. Lions defense, what I'll say about them, guys, is that yes, they do a pretty decent job holding teams down in terms of the points. They're 7th in scoring defense, but you can put yards on them, man. 27th in yards per play. They give up a lot of big plays, so watch out for the deep pass to Terry McLaurin from Jaden Daniels in this football game. The one thing they do at an elite level, though, guys, is they get you off the field on third downs with their creative blitz packages. So the points per game trends here, the Commanders score 28.5 points per game. The Lions give up 20.1 points per game. That would be a cross-reference score there of 24 points for the Washington Commanders. And if you've been keeping up with the trends here, you would know that the Lions would be predicted to win this game 28-24 here at home. And, that's just outside the margin for error. So the Commanders are certainly going to have to come into this one ready to go if they want to take down the Detroit Lions. So still to come here on the Commanders Report preview. Keys to victory versus the Lions. I got 6 of them for you this afternoon. Then also we got my full scouting report on Jared Goff. And then I got my divisional round score prediction. Do I think the Commanders pull off this upset? I'll let you know my answer here by the end of today's show. But before we get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time, which is the best place for you to buy tickets for the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. And Game Time has a new feature on their app called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. All you have to do is select the Game Time Picks button at the top of your screen when you get into the app and you find an event you want to go see, and Game Time automatically filters through their entire database of tickets to find you the best tickets with the best prices and best views so you can get the best deals on any ticket that you purchase. And what I love about using the Game Time app, and why it's the only ticketing app I have on my phone, is you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event. All-in pricing so you don't get slapped with the crazy fee at checkout, and flash deals so you can get even cheaper tickets the closer you wait to game time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. It's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, guys. It's just for that first purchase. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. First key to victory for the Washington Commanders in this football game is to put pressure on Jared Goff. Now, Goff is the type of quarterback where if you do a good job protecting him, you give him open options, and you have a very clean pocket, he's a very, very effective NFL quarterback. This year, he is top 3 in EPA per play among quarterbacks, and that is because he's very, very good at executing the offense the way that it is designed. One of the best in-structure playmakers in all of football. He's got a really, really live arm, can really fire that ball into tight windows over the middle of the field. His mental processing is also really developed since he entered the league all those years back. Now, his cons is that he doesn't have a lot of mobility, and he's not really an out-of-structure playmaker. So if you can get him off his spot, if you can make him feel pressure, he can and will crumble, especially in these playoff games like we've seen from him in recent years. My second key to victory for the Washington Commanders is to stop the run, all right? And, I think that this is even more important than putting pressure on Jared Goff. You want Goff to be the reason why they win if they win this football game. You want to be able to stop Sonic and Knuckles. This duo right here is their bread and butter here offensively. Obviously, they have a great offensive line that they like to run behind, and Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the most dynamic running backs in football, and then David Montgomery will pound the shit out of you, all right? So you got to be able to stop this running back duo. I think the Commanders have done a really good job limiting Saquon Barkley. They limited the Tampa Bay Buccaneers run game last week. This defensive front's going to have to show up once again if they want to move on to the NFC Championship game. My third key to victory here is I would sit Noah Igninoghene. All right, and I would play Benjamin St. Toast. I know what you're going to say, Jack, Benjamin St. Juice freaking stinks. But I think that the way that the Detroit Lions wide receiver room is constructed, I think it makes more sense to sit Noah Igninoghene because in the slot is their best receiver, and that is that is Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is super big, super physical for a slot receiver, and I just do not trust Noah Igninoghene to provide the physicality that will be needed to guard a guy like Amon-Ra consistently. I think if they tried out Noah Igninoghene to guard this cat, Amon-Ra St. Brown, in the slot on Saturday, I think Amon-Ra is going to absolutely eat. So what I would do personally, guys, is I would go out there. I'd have Marshawn Lattimore on Jameson Williams. I would have Benjamin St. Juice on Tim Patrick. And then I would put Mike Samerstiel, who's been playing a lot on the outside. I would put him inside. He's a great competitor, and I think he can make it tough on Amon-Ra St. Brown in this football game. Tim Patrick is kind of a slower, kind of bigger type of wide receiver. I think Benjamin St. Juice, even though he's been cooked all year by big-time wide receivers, Tim Patrick's not a big-time receiver. I think BSJ can handle Tim Patrick. I want to put Mike Samerstiel on Amon-Ra St. Brown this week. Then shifting to the other side of the ball, I think the biggest key to victory for the Commanders on offense is for Jaden Daniels to handle the heat. There's no way around it, guys. I think Jaden Daniels needs to be special in this football game in order to win. I think that the Lions will likely put up a lot of points in this football game. It's a very tough offense to stop. So Jaden Daniels, with this, maybe lackluster run game, lackluster offensive line and pass protection unit, and maybe not the best receiver group in football, he's going to have to elevate this group and win a shootout in a really, really tough environment there in Detroit. So I really do think Jaden Daniels is the X factor for the Washington Commanders in this football game. But I've learned, man, once you have Jaden Daniels on your football team, it doesn't really matter what the rosters look like. If Jaden is playing and he is on his game, this team has a shot to win any football game they play. Another key to victory here is to play the cleaner game. What I mean by that, guys, win the turnover battle and not commit too many penalties. You want to stay clean. You want to stay in third and manageables. You want to be able to move the chains on early downs, and you don't want to give them massive yards on like defensive pass interferences, stuff like that. You don't want to give them the ball on turnovers, and you want to take advantage of their turnover opportunities. If you do those things, you should have an opportunity late in the game, and if that's the case, you got to deliver in the clutch, and that's exactly what this Washington Commander team has done all season long, especially on this 6-game winning streak that they are on right now. They consistently deliver in the final moments of football games, and Jaden Daniels is one of the most clutch quarterbacks in all of football. My prediction for this game is that if it's close in the fourth quarter and the Commanders can stick around where it's a one-score ball game in the fourth quarter and Jaden Daniels has a chance to win it, I think he's going to be able to deliver a clutch drive and send the Burgundy and Gold into the NFC Championship game. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to have that opportunity. I think the Lions offense is just too dynamic. This Washington defense, I'm not sure about Marshawn Lattimore and how good he's going to play. I'm hoping he gets healthier, but last week it was kind of ugly for him. I think Jameson Williams, their speed demon and their deep threat, is going to have multiple big-time shot plays thrown to him. And with Marshawn Lattimore kind of questionable at this point, I think they hit on a lot of that. With Knuckles and Sonic back in there, I think that this team is going to have the run game going as well. I don't think Jaden's going to play a bad game. I think it's going to be very high scoring, but I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions to win this one. They're well rested. They're way more rested than the Commanders. They have the better overall roster. I'll take the Lions to win this game. But like I said, guys, when you have Jaden Daniels, anything is possible. So now it's your turn. Let me know down there in the comment section. Predict the score of Commanders versus Lions for me down there in the comment section. Do you think the Commanders win and continue to dance their way into the NFC Championship game? Let me know your thoughts down there in the comment section. I can't wait to see what you guys have to say about this divisional showdown. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Again, guys, we're going to be going live on Saturday night starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Me and Joey Peterson, we're going to be going live with our live coverage here and our watch party for Commanders versus Lions. It's going to be a hell of a night. It's been a hell of a season. It's been a hell of a run here to finish out this 2024-2025 campaign here on the Commanders Report. So if you want extensive coverage every single day on the Burgundy and Gold, 24/7, 365, make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now.